just press the little button.
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better. My name is Hickman. I'm the president of the Student Provo City Alliance. We're a nonprofit organization. We formed last summer, summer 2009. So the impetus for forming was actually a parking permit program that I'll talk about in a little bit. But we realized pretty quickly that these are complicated issues, and the best solution is to get everyone who's going to be affected involved in the discussion and get them to contribute their ideas to what will work out. So the goal of our organization is to bridge the gap between the student community and the rest of the Provo community. A lot of students just aren't aware of things that are going on in the city that affect them, or things very far away from campus. And so we're trying to bridge that gap. So my experience here is, part of that is we want students to know what's going on with parking in Provo. And we've been tracking it, and we've been meeting with people in the city and trying to find good solutions. So the context that you will need to understand some of the decisions that are being made about parking in Provo right now, especially south of campus and student areas, is a report that came out in 2000. The acronym is SCAMP. It's the South Campus Area Master Plan. And this is a vision for the area just south of campus, from 500 north to campus, and from University Avenue to 900 east. And the report came from members of the committee. They were from the city. There were students, residents, realtors, getting a lot of input. And they have the purpose. It's balancing the needs of students and families in the community. And one of the big issues there is parking. So let's go ahead to the next one. As a result of that report, they came out with a plan for zoning. And here's the map taken from the report. The darker colors mean more dense zoning. And the general idea to get from this is that the city's vision is a dense student village. So multi-story complexes for students to live in, retail space underneath, so you don't have to travel far to buy the things that you need, pedestrian-friendly, bike-friendly area. Let's go ahead. And like I said, parking was one of the big issues. And so here are just a few statements taken from the report that show the approach they're taking to cars and parking. So providing sufficient retail services, accommodate those who might like to walk, transit service, bike, pathways, and this is a big one, reducing spillover from student areas and apartment complexes into areas with families who might like to park in front of their house from time to time. So let's go to the next one. So as part of that, there's this North Joaquin parking permit program. And you can go ahead to the next one. And that's this region. Part of the reason for coming up with this program is that Barron area, you can see 500 north and about 600 east. That's being turned into a complex, apartment complex with housing for 900 to 950 students. And they're going to provide parking for, I think it's around like 0.65 spaces per tenant. And the city doesn't want extra cars to spill over and take up spaces from people who live nearby, which is understandable. And so this parking permit program is an effort to control some of that overflow. Go ahead to the next one. It was set to start in September of 2009. The complex was supposed to be finished by then. It wasn't because of the economy. Now, if you drive by there, there's construction going on. And so the program was delayed for 2 years until September 2011. So it's still on the books and will presumably start in September 2011. Next. Just a few details to let you know about it. It would be, you need a permit to park there on the street between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. It would be September to April, a few exceptions for holidays and graduation and things like that. Next one. And then there'd be visitor permits for exceptions from time to time. And so that program is already passed into law. But there are a couple of other recent developments and things that the city is thinking of, so we're going to talk about those for a second. Go ahead. The city just passed a new parking requirement so that complexes for batching singles, and you can read that, I think, student housing, need 0.7 spaces per tenant. Will that be enough? Our organization did a survey of several complexes close to campus that are new, which would be like the ones that would be developed, and found out that about 85 to 91% of the students bring cars with them, so that isn't enough. And without some permit parking programs, you're going to have overflow onto the street. So why would you require fewer spots to be built than there are cars? Part of it is because you want to incentivize development of that area. If you want the vision of the SCAMP report to happen, you need developers to do it. And parking is either taking away a space from a bedroom or it's in a parking structure, which is pretty expensive. So one of the reasons you want to keep the requirement low is so that people are actually interested in building new complexes down there. And another reason is the SCAMP vision is not that everyone has a car and everyone has a parking spot, but that people don't have to have cars, or at least some students can find that they can live there just fine without cars. They can walk to a little market on the corner or a laundromat or whatever it be, and there wouldn't be need for as many parking spots. So those are some of the reasons that you would pass a limit like that. And to prevent overflow parking in the transition period, I think the transition period will be a little bit rough as these developments are built and the solutions are built, is a possible daytime parking program for the North Joaquin area. So the one that's passed into law right now is for night, 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. But the city planners are thinking of suggesting one, or they've already suggested one, in combination with that limit of 0.7 spaces per tenant as a daytime program to solve any congestion from student commuting. And a possible South Joaquin parking permit program, so that would be from 500 North down to Center. And these are ideas that the city is thinking of right now. They'll probably come up for public hearings and voting sometime next year, maybe in the spring. Another thing that's happening is the SCAMP report had that zoning recommendation. It hasn't been implemented, and it's been, that report came out in 2000, but now the city is looking at writing zoning code, changing the code down there so that these sort of developments would be built, and somewhat uniformly. Right now what happens is when a developer wants to build, he gets special customized zoning just for that spot, and the city would like to have a more uniform approach. And so that code will probably be written and passed again sometime next year, spring, summer, fall. So those are some of the recent developments. And let's go next. My recommendation is to be informed and be involved, especially if you live in that area and would be affected by it. And the issues are complex, but the solutions that people have presented start to make more sense when you understand all the different sides. As an organization, we're always interested in people who want to get involved. If you have an interest, we'll put it to work. There's our website, and I'd love to stay and answer any questions after this, but I have to run to the testing center for a geology test. So thank you.